Welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be talking about tuning. This, my friends, is the number one thing that you need to think about, I think, if you're just starting out with guitar. So there's lots of things that you might want to think about. So you might want a nice guitar that's got good pickups, so it's got like good sound when you put it through an amp. You might want a guitar that's got nice low action, so it's easy to play. It's not too hard on the fingers. You might want a small light guitar so it's not too heavy. It doesn't sort of like give you backache or neckache or sort of fall off your lap as you're trying to play it. All of these things are important, but the most important thing is tuning. And I can break this down into two separate categories. Tuning is the most important thing. You cannot learn to play a guitar on an out of tune guitar. And those two things that you need to consider are, does your guitar stay in tune when you've tuned it, or does it slip out? There's lots of reasons why that might happen. And also, the second thing is, do you know how to tune a guitar? That is so important. Because if you don't, and you start playing and it slips out of tune, you might think, this doesn't sound as good as it did before, but you can't do anything about it. So it's a really simple thing. For beginners, you need to tackle the tuning. You need to know how to tune it and how to make sure that it stays in tune. So there's a few things you can do. In terms of tuning it, there are loads of tuners on the market. There are apps, there are websites, and you can play your strings one by one. And it will give you, feedback. Is it too sharp, that string? Is it too flat? And how to adjust it. There are devices that you can plug straight in, plug your guitar cable straight into it, and it will tell you whether it's in tune as you play the strings. And there are ones that you can clip on to the end of your guitar, and it'll kind of sense the vibrations. And again, playing your strings one at a time, it will tell you whether the string is in tune and whether it needs kind of increasing or decreasing in terms of sharpness or flatness. So you might actually get to a stage, hopefully, if you keep at it, where you can sort of hear, you can almost tell whether it's in tune by playing. And if one's slightly out, you can just kind of adjust it, and then you can tell it's in tune. So you might not need to rely on those tuning devices, but it's always good, I find personally, to have that clip-on one, battery powered obviously, clips onto the end, and you can just at any moment when you're practicing, or even if you're playing live in between songs, you can just quickly check that you're still in tune. So that's really good. So the second thing about staying in tune, that's largely down to the actual guitar itself. So the tuning heads at the top, some are good and some are bad. Grover tuners are generally considered to be pretty good. They're stable. Once your guitar is in tune, it should stay in tune more or less. There are cheaper, not so good tuners that you might find on really low end guitars they just won't stay in tune. I've bought guitars in charity shop before with good intentions that look nice and they're affordable, but actually it just doesn't stay in tune, and you can't learn on that because you're forever questioning, is it me or is it the guitar? It doesn't sound quite right. The last thing to mention on this topic of tuning is, if you put new strings on your guitar, then it's quite likely that it will take a while for those strings to settle. So you might put them on, tune it up, sound all right, have a bit of a play, and then they will kind of like, as they find their feet, sounds like a strange thing to say, the strings may stretch a little, and they may actually, depending on how they've been put on, they may actually slip a little as well. So it's something to watch out for. After putting new strings on, just keep an eye on the tuning on that, because it's quite likely you might need to tinker with it. So get your guitar tuned, learn how to tune it, use an app, use a device, whatever, it doesn't really matter which, and then just enjoy learning, and the rest should just kind of fall into place.